Continuing this series of videos of the painting, detailing, and weathering of the Monkey Rabbit Panther III. Here's a look at the starboard side of the vehicle, the very nice 1/6 scale icons antenna holder. These, all the 1/6 scale icons from the late Mike Stannard are available through Fields of Armor, but in kit form. But they're cheaper, and even if you don't build them exactly as intended, you get parts to do a decent job. That's what I did there. 1/6 scale icon shovel with what I call my home built fittings. In this case, I use Rio Rondo leather and dragon buckles. These buckles come with German pants, German helmets. If they're not gonna be seen, and in the helmets I would always remove them anyway, I've amassed a large amount that I use for the vehicles. I do fittings with styrene. Then once painted, everything's gonna look great. For the antenna, that I already mentioned that I didn't have an antenna, I used the Dragon Panther II antenna. I saw a piece being sold for Panther II and Panther III, so it appears that in some cases they use the same antenna base. So I had an extra kit that I used for parts, and it took a while, but I found the antenna base. Brass tubing for the antenna as such. I have to work on the angles, but you know how it goes. Okay, the crank. Usually when I would buy a model to be put together, what I do with them, I would get all the parts to make sure that when I want to do the vehicle, I still have the parts. That turned out to be pretty smart because a lot of the parts are not available any longer. But I had two Panther IIIs from Mardon Calanta, two version Ls. I built one for Eastern Front and one for Africa. I never expected this tank to show up, so I didn't have the parts. So I had to build a crank, because that's where the crank goes, the engine, you know, so that you turn it by hand. And remembered the ones I had seen, that if you use coat hanger wire, and put it inside styrene, you can bend the piece and it won't break. Much easier than trying to heat up and be careful and whatever. Okay, so that's what I did. It's coat hanger wire inside styrene. Made a piece. It turned out too small, so didn't look right. So then I made one with a thicker piece of tubing. Added like this fitting there where it would go to the engine. Again, little detail, even if it's not right or real, adds to the piece. And that'll go there and it'll be attached with the Rio Rondo. In front I went with a bigger shovel, again using a fitting for styrene, Rio Rondo, buckles. Once painted, everything's painted, weathered, and attached there, it looked great. Okay. Aves Apoxie. I've mentioned Aves Apoxie many times when I talk about my works in progress. This stuff is just amazing. It saved me so many times I can't remember. It's a A-B part epoxy paste. Okay, equal parts. You blend it in nicely. You notice because it's slightly different colors, so once it's blended in nicely, it's like a third color and it looks great. This is natural. It comes in many colors. I always use the natural. Only once it came black by mistake and I used it, but usually use this gray. I use this to fix the bin in a stronger fashion, because how it came, it just had like two little screws here and one there, and that thing would wobble. It had a sign, do not touch. Not good for me. The gap ends up being, I think, too wide for the actual vehicle, but there was a gap. I added some Aves Apoxie, fixed it, and then I didn't like what it looked because it was like leaning back and a little bit low. So I actually took a chance, carefully ripped it out. What comes out is the paint, because this Aves Apoxie, guys, I'm telling you, it's stronger than steel. Uh, uh, but since it was attached to the paint came off the piece, and that's how I was able to get it back on at a different angle, more forward, higher, and now I like how it looks. Talking tools, finding a new tool is like making a new friend, and I have a new friend. In a 1/35 scale build on YouTube, the modeler was using this product, Flory, made in the UK. Let's call it a sponge sander. It's like squishy, sanding on one side. It's got like a sponge on the other. This is a worn out one. This is a brand new one. Try to get them from the UK. They wouldn't ship to the US. Got them in the US. It's amazing. It's a fantastic new tool. I was able to sand wood, metal, plastic, and in metal, it goes beyond sanding. It actually polishes the metal, you know, trying to get, you know, rid of the line. It actually polishes the piece. Amazing stuff. So highly, highly, highly recommended. Flory, whatever, sponge sanders or sanding sticks. I don't know what they're called, but great stuff. Finally, I wanted to talk about the track links. The track links that come with this model are just beautiful. Okay, some 3D part lines, but that's to be expected. But the detail, you know, holes where there should be holes. For me, the best track links for static vehicles were these from Panzerwerk, which were used in all the Panzer IIIs and Panzer IVs made by Martin Calanta from the Philippines, which I have several. Very sturdy, but they, you know, they don't have the detail. Of course, they're much stronger. Let's hope these are not as fragile as they look. Usually, you know, making sure it fits the driver nicely. Look at this. It's just picture perfect. It's gonna look amazing once it's painted. This piece goes in the front laces of the chassis, the front area, to add double duty. On the one hand, have track links available from when they break or are damaged, and second, adding more armor to that piece. Very usual on this tank to see some of these pieces added to the front, where later types of this tank had thicker armor here and then separated armor, like in the L version. Okay, well, it looks very, very nice. I decided to replace a no-tech light from the stock to the Armor Packs version. This one is a good attempt. I'm not criticizing it, but this looks like the real stuff. Okay, so off it went. Okay, final comment on, this has roller bearings, so this moves like crazy. Final comment on the barrel. I had mentioned that it looked too thick. 50 millimeters in 1/6 scale would have been 8 millimeters something, the opening. In this case is 12. So I know it's too big. Now you know it's too big. Let's keep it a secret because I'm not gonna do anything about it. That's it for now.